Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So let's continue from the last time. So this is the center front, and the center front must be cut on fold, including the lining. You must cut the center front on fold. Then this is the side front. You have to cut 2 pieces of the side front and also 2 pieces of the lining. You also cut 2 pieces of the lining for the side front. Then for the cups, you have to cut 2 pieces of lining for the cups too. This fabric here will serve as my loop, and this is the cup. You can see what I'm saying. You have to cut 2 pieces of fabric for the cup, 2 pieces of lining for the 2 cups, and then for the back you have to cut 2 pieces of lining for the back and 2 pieces of fabric for the back too. You can see. So right now I'll go ahead to take out all my lining and we'll go into stitching of this here. So remember that this part here I also added 0.5 inches stitching allowance around my pattern, so go ahead and do yours the same way. So guys, now time for us to start sewing our corset. So right now we're working on the 2 piece, the center front and the side front. I'll take out all my pattern, then I'll open my center front, then I'll place it to my side front. You can see what I'm doing. Then I'll be running in 1/2 inch sewing allowance to join my center front and side front together. Just look at what I'm doing and do yours the same way. Then I'll open it and repeat the same thing to the other side. I'll take my side front, place it on top of my center front, then I will pin it down with 0.5 inches sewing allowance. Then I'll go over to my sewing machine to sew it down. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So guys, this is what it will look like when you stitch it down. I just only pin it. So guys, I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like after stitching it down. So guys, this is what it looks like after joining my fabric together, and I also went ahead to iron my seams open. So go ahead and iron all your seams open just the way I'm doing. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please look at what I'm doing. So right now guys, I'll go over to I'm using my bias to create my boning channel. This white bias, I'll be placing it in the middle of my pattern. The part I have the line where I stitch my patterns together, my fabrics together, sorry, the middle line. So I'll be running 2 stitches on my bias. I will run 2 stitches on my bias and also place it at the middle of my corset. As you can see, I'll place it in the middle here. Then I'll also be running 2 stitches at the side of my bias to create my boning channel. Hope you understand what I'm saying. You can see how I'm pointing it down for you. And I also place my bias at this point too. The line that we have there, I'll place it there, and I also make 2 stitches around. So guys, I'll go. Then this part here is for the back. I will take my back pattern and I'll place it together. Just look what I'm doing. You need to be careful here. Place your back pattern together. I can see it, match it. You can see it. You have to match it like this. Then this part here, I was supposed to make a dart here, but I did not make a dart because I forgot to add that allowance on my pattern when I was drafting it. So if you added that allowance, go ahead and stitch your dart allowance in before you join your back to your front. So I'll place my back pattern to my front, then I'll run a 1 inch seam allowance that we added to the pattern while cutting it out. Then I'll also do the same thing to the side. I will bring in my back pattern. You need to watch very well. The part that is slanted, you can see it, and then you place it, matching it with the side. You can see what I'm doing. Make sure you match it together so you don't make any mistake. Then place it on top, and then you go ahead to run 1 inches seam allowance that we added to the pattern when we were drafting it out. So I will go ahead to stitch down my bias and my back pattern together and come back and show you how it looks like. So guys, this is what it looks like I'm done stitching the boat down, and this is my bias. You can see what it looks like, and this is my boning. I'll be cutting out my boning to fix it and show you how to fix the boning. So you go ahead and cut out, you sharpen the boning mouth a little, then you push your boning in. Just look at what I'm doing. So after pushing your boning in, make sure you stop half an inch before the end of your fabric. Look at what I'm doing. Stop half an inch, and you also do the same thing at the bottom part. After pushing all your boning in, make sure you stop half an inch to this part. It will help you to stitch it down so your needle will not break when you start stitching on your fabric. And you might finish putting your boning. You can see your boning will be standing in a weird manner. Use your iron to iron it, and it's going to look good. So now this is for the cup. Look at what I'm doing. You need to be careful here. Place your cup patterns together. Make sure you don't move it too much so you don't make any mistake. Place it in a way you understand. You can see what I'm doing. Then take out your pins. Take your pattern out. Just look at what I'm doing. Take your pattern and keep it by the side. Then you take the ones on the top. Just see. And put it on top of this one. Are you seeing what I'm doing? You can see this. By doing it this way, it will be easier for you. Then you pin it down. And you'll be stitching this part I'm touching. This way you'll be stitching down. And you also do the same thing to the other side. Place it down. Place the two of them together. Then you use your pin to hold it down. You'll be stitching this part down. You can see this place I'm pointing now. This is where you'll be stitching down. You'll be running your stitch. You have to sew that part. I'm also using my pattern to indicate it for you. You have to run your stitch down here. This is why I put this arrow mark here. This is why I put this arrow mark to indicate where I will be sewing when I'm sewing on my fabric. So I'll go ahead to sew it, but before that I want to show you how to cut your cup. I want to use this wording. This is a wording or a breast pad. Some people call it breast pad or wording, and you know that in your wording there is a shiny part. That shiny part is what we'll be using to cut our fabric. I'll be folding my wording. The shiny part is where I'll be folding them. The shiny part will serve as the back. We normally cut the back. The back of the fabric when we are cutting with our pattern. So this shiny part will serve as the back. You go ahead and fold the shiny parts. Then you place your pattern on top, and you'll be cutting it down. You need to pay attention here and be careful, and look at what I'm doing. Do yours the same way. Then I'll go ahead to cut out. I won't be adding any sewing allowance to this because I want to create my own cup. No need of using a ready-made cup here because I want to create my own cup. So this is how you have to create it. Do not add any sewing allowance to it. Cut your own this way I'm cutting mine. So you can see I cut two of these at the same time, and then I'm going to fold my wording again. I'm going to be placing the shiny parts. I'm going to be folding it. Then I'll place my pattern and I'll pin it down, and then I'll use my scissors to cut these parts again, just the way I did for the first cup. So when you are done, you will be putting your patterns together. Just look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in all my patterns. You can see this is how you'll be stitching this place down. You need to be careful and you need to look at what I'm doing. You can see the way the arrows in my pattern is facing each other. I'll also go ahead to take my pattern out from my wording. Then I'll be taking the two like this. You can see what I'm doing. Take the two wording from each part of your pattern. Take the two of them, then place it. Remember, the gummy part will be serving as the back of my wording. So you go ahead and make sure that the place you'll be running this stitch I'm about to tell you is the gummy part, the shiny part. So you use your pin to hold it down so it does not move. Then you go ahead to run a very tiny stitch, but not too close to the end of the wording, so it does not pull out when you finish sewing. You have to run a very tiny stitch to join them together. This is what I mean. You have to run a very tiny stitch to make sure to hold them together to form your cup. Hope you understand what I'm saying. Go ahead and run a very tiny stitches here. Then when you open it, you understand what I'm saying. Your cup will form. You can see I'm also trying to indicate it here. Then I'll bring in my fabric here, and I'll be going to my sewing machine to stitch all this down just the way I told you. Then I'll come back and show you what it actually looks like. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand, please look at what I'm doing. I'm sure you will understand. So I'll go ahead and sew it and come back and show you. So guys, this is what it looks like after sewing it down. You can see also went ahead to iron my seams open. You can see what I did. You can see the way it's is the cup is forming, and this is the wording for the cup. You can see this is the wording for the foam. Yes, I'll say that's what I'm going to use for the foam. You can see the places I made my stitch is very tiny. You can see what it looks like, very tiny. Then I'll take the gummy parts. The gummy part, I'll be placing it directly to my fabric. Place the gummy part directly to your fabric. Take your iron and iron it. You will see that the fabric will glue to the wording. I can see I'll use my ball and iron it. So guys, this is what I mean by my fabric will glue to the gum. You can see it's glued to the wording and it's not moving. And this is what my cup look like. Make sure you use the ball to iron it. It will make your cup very well. And I will bring in my cup to meet my other fabric, the body of the fabric. And I'll use my pattern to indicate where each cup will be facing. And you can see what I just did. Do use the same way. Then I'll place these two parts together. The parts you stitch down at your cup, there's a part you'll be having a straight line. You place the lines together, meeting the one on your actual fabric, so that when you finish stitching down and you look at it, it will be in a straight line. The line will be meeting each other. Then you go ahead and pin your cup around your actual fabric the way I'm doing it. I hope you understand what I'm saying, but if you don't understand, please look at what I'm doing and do yours the same way. So guys, you can see the way it's looking really nice. I've not stitched it down, but you can see the way it's standing. So go ahead and pin yours very well. I'll also be repeating the same thing here. Please, if you know understand what I did in the other cup, please look at this part here. Look at the way I'm turning it and look at the way I'm pinning it down. So guys, this is it. I'm done pinning the both of them down. This is what my cup is looking without even stitching it down. So this part here that I just pinned down, I'll be sewing this part down. I'll be running a stitch at the place that I pinned down, the place that I have my pins. That's why I'll be stitching down. So guys, I'm done sewing this part. You can see I'm done stitching it down. I'm done sewing it, and this is what my cup is looking like. This is what I do. So I'm going ahead to give it a little notch. So go ahead and give your cup a little notch. Trim out the excess and give your cup a little notch. So guys, after I'm done with this, I'll sew my lining exactly the way I made my top. You can see I'll bring in my lining right now. This is my lining. I've made it. I sewed it exactly the way I sewed the top. So I'll place my lining on top of my top, the front facing each other. The front of the lining will be facing the front of the main fabric. Then I'll go ahead to place them. That's what I'm doing. I'll go ahead to arrange them properly, and then I'll be closing this part up. this upper part here. You can see what I'm showing you. I'll be sewing it, this part here, I'll be sewing it with my sewing machine. I'll go over to the sewing machine and I'll sew it all down. You can see. And then at the bottom part here, I'll be sewing it too. I'll be stitching it down in a straight line, just the way I did for the top. I'll be stitching the top and the bottom parts together. So guys, this is I've already stitched down the both sides together. I've stitched them down. These pieces I'm holding here is my loop. I've gone ahead to sew it, to join it together to create my loop. So go ahead and fold a piece of fabric together and create your loop. You can see it over here. This is mine. So I'll come over to this part here, the part I told you I'll be putting my loop, the opening here. I'll be measuring what I have, the length. Then I'll be measuring each part where my loop will be staying will be 1.5 inches space. The opening will be 1.5 inches, like the distance between each loop will be 1.5 inches. Is what I'm marking down right now. So all these parts as I have my chalk, I will be placing my loop there. I will placing my loop at all these parts that I have my chalk. There will be a loop there. So this is my loop. I'll be measuring 3 inches for the length, and then I'll be cutting it out. I'll be measuring 3 inches for the length and I'll be cutting. You can see this is 3 inches. I'm measuring 3 inches for the length. You can see it is 3. Then I'll be cutting it out to use it to make all my loops. So all my loops will be 3 inches. Then when I'm done, I'll be folding it in. You can see what I'm doing. Do yours the same way. So guys, these are all my loops. Then I'll be bringing on I'll be folding it. I'll be folding one of my loop. You can see what I just did. Then I'll be fixing it inside. You can see how I'm fixing it inside. I'll fix it inside here in the place I marked my chalk. At this part here, I'll be fixing it. Then I'll use my pin to hold it down, and I'll still repeat the same thing here. I'll keep on doing it till I finish all, and till I put all my loop at the places that I want them to be. So guys, I'll go over to my sewing machine to stitch all my loops down. Just go over to your sewing machine to stitch it down. You can see what I just did. I've made all my loops for the both sides. So fix your loop at the both side of your back pattern and make your loop, stitch it down. So right here, I'll be losing this part out, this little part here, because I want to use it to turn my fabric. Then you go ahead and turn it around just the way I'm doing it. Do yours the same way. When your boning is there, you just take it easy and to pull it out. Take it easy, don't be in a rush. Pull it out, pull out all the edge, your loop and everything. Pull it out, but make sure you are careful when you are doing it. Please don't be in a rush so you don't mistakenly spoil your fabric. So go ahead and pull everything down. Then you see this part here, you go over to your sewing machine and run a stitch here to close it up. And guys, this is all for this corset sewing. This is all for this corset pattern. Go ahead and run and make another loop for your lacing. Go ahead and lace it out just the way I'm doing it. Go ahead and create a lace. And this is all for this pattern, guys. Make sure you iron your fabric when you are done. Please do iron your fabric. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe. Put on the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I post a new video. Don't forget to share, comment, tell me what you think about this corset sewing tutorial. So guys, thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.